can you remind us again, what was number one at the box office this weekend?
Mean Girls.
So Mean Girls did 28 for the 3-day, 30, is it 33 that it did for the
32.
32 for the 4-day. So, okay. Listen, we went high on this last weekend. We both said
Yeah.
40 plus for the 4-day, but this is for this movie, for Paramount, this is a great opening weekend because reportedly the budget on this movie is 36 million and it was originally made to go to Paramount Plus.
Well, that's the big thing. And oh, sorry, just so yes, the latest Monday numbers 33.2. So a little bit
33.
higher uptick.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, that is key, Pat. This was a movie that could have gotten dumped.
Yep.
And instead, you got $33 million in box office just right now. And I think the budget on this was close to that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've read it as about 35 million for the budget. Yeah.
yeah. So, I do think that this is a win in this
Mhm.
for this weekend, definitely. Uh, Although it feels like it's not as popular with audiences as we assumed it would be.
Yeah, I mean, so there has been some there was a lot of talk this weekend about were audiences put off by the fact that this was a musical. There
Okay.
were some
Add this old conversation.
well, there were some viral videos. The veracity of them, is debated, or the truthfulness of them is being debated. Some viral videos of audience members reacting to discovering that the film was a musical. So people filming themselves, watching the movie, then the music starts, and these like young people are shocked and not into the music. So there's some videos of that going around. Now, of course, are these put-ons? I mean, do you think that these seem staged?
Clout chasing.
Is this cloud chasing? Yes.
Yes.
Are you
Here's
are
the
you
thing.
willing to put out the allegation of clout chasing,
I
Clayton?
will absolutely put out the allegation of clout chasing because that's what it is. Because here's the thing.
Okay.
We live in a world of information overload. I know so many things I don't want to know. You know how many things I don't want to know? There's so many things I don't want to know. I want to know very little, Pat.
Right.
I want
Right.
to know about the box office. I want to know when my next paycheck's coming in. I
Right.
want to know if the canary in the mine that I work in is alive or dead. Those are the
Mhm.
things I want to know.
Right.
Okay.
How to get
But I
soot
got,
out of a crevice, that's what you wanna know.
yes, multiple crevices. Here's the thing. There is no way in God's green earth that these people do not know this was a musical. The cursory search for this movie will tell you it is a musical based on the movie, based on the Broadway show. All right. If you cannot put those words together into a cohesive thought to put in your brain and understand it, then you are a true moron. And I don't believe that these people are true morons. I think they're clout chasers, which is worse than being a moron. Okay. Because morons can't help it. These people can. They can help it. They don't have to be this way. They can have authentic reactions to things. They can use the knowledge that they have and not pretend that they're stupid, but they are. Okay. These people are cloud chasers and it's disgusting.
Wow. So there was some polling on this. The studio, Paramount, did some polling, some exit polls, and they found that 75% of audiences were aware that the film was a musical going into it. So that means that according to their polling, 25% of the audience went to this movie not knowing that this would be a musical. That does feel high to me. To 25% of an audience saying that they did not realize the movie was the genre that it was. Like I obviously I'm someone who doesn't want to know as much as I can about a movie. You don't want to know plot twists and all that. But usually an audience goes into a movie knowing the genre of the movie. So that
Did they
feels high.
think
That
It
feels
was
high.
just a straight remake of the movie. Was that the thought? Because, like, was there more pooling? Did they ask other questions? Like, "Did you wipe your ass today?" Because did those same 25 be like, "You have to wipe your ass?" Right? I don't know who they're dealing with here,
Right,
okay?
right.
But the thing is, this is obviously based on the Broadway play. Or maybe I'm too invested in it. Maybe I know too
I
much, like
don't
I
know if
said.
it's that obvious. I don't know if it's that obvious. They're very cheeky about it in the promotion.
But
They're
in
saying
the
it's Mean
trailer,
Girls with a new twist, Tina Fey with a new twist. There's a little musical note buried in like the E of Mean Girls, but
but
it's
Pat,
cheeky. It's cheeky, Clayton.
in the trailer, when they show scenes, even though they're using a Olivia Rodrigo song, right?
Right.
When there are scenes where they are in the hallway dancing and their mouths are moving, do people not understand that that is a musical number? Do they think that it's a dream sequence, that it's some
Maybe.
sort of weird, sort of, Twin Peaks David Lynchian nightmares that this main character's having where they're talking backwards and it's dark light and somebody's stroking a log. Is that what they thought? Did they think this was a Lynchian nightmare and not a musical? I'm having a hard time here, Pat.
They may have. If maybe that exit polling were, what were you expecting, that this movie would be a musical or that there would be a little person talking backwards? And maybe the latter would have been what more people were expecting. I don't know. I mean, people didn't go to that 2021 batch of musicals. West Side Story, In the Heights, Your Beloved Dear Evan Hansen, which brought you to tears. You were a soggy
Mhm.
mess after that movie.
Yep.
Three musicals that did very little at the box office. So there is a good chance that especially the young movie-going audience does not recognize those telltale signs of a musical in a trailer. When they
But Pat,
see a dance break out in a hallway and people's mouths moving in a way that's not dialogue, they just might not know that that's a musical because they didn't see Dear Evan Hansen like you did.
now here's the thing. Wonka is a musical.
Yes,
And that if you have a case for a movie not saying that it's a musical and not showing that it's a musical, that is the case. If you told me that 25% of the people who went to see Wonka didn't realize it was going to be a musical, I would understand that. I would get that. Okay? But for me, this trailer was so obviously showing people singing and dancing in unison multiple times in different places that I assumed that people would get that this is a musical.
see, I disagree. Here's why. Because there's been two Wonka movies. The Gene Wilder one had
There were
musical numbers
songs.
in it,
There were
had
songs.
songs. The Johnny Depp one, I think, had songs, but at least his
I don't know.
characterization of Wonka was based on Michael Jackson. So there's a big
Yeah.
musical element in that movie. Mean Girls was a movie, and Mean Girls was a movie that had no musical aspects to it. So I do understand the 25% of people who went to this Mean Girls remake. The first Mean Girls wasn't a musical. Why would I expect this one to be a musical?
Because it was based on the Broadway play of Mean Girls. It wasn't based
That's you talking as a coastal elite. And me and you are both coastal elites. We get theater tickets all the time. We're always getting asked to sit in the front rows of shows to give it a little extra oomph, let the performers see our faces. But that's us. We're coastal elites. We're New Yorkers, greatest city in the world. You're living out in the stacks. You're a plain Billy. You're an Earth Dog. You're not in that world. You're not in
so
that
then
world. You don't know about the Mean Girls Broadway musical.
so then here's what it comes down to, okay?
Hmm.
They didn't like the songs then because that is the problem. Is not that it's a musical, is that they didn't like the songs because if they liked the songs, they would have been carried away by it and not cared that it was a musical. They would have been into it. Do you think they had that bad of a reaction that as soon as a song a number started, a musical number started, they were so discombobulated that they could not get back into it and enjoy it if it was a spectacular song. I think the real problem here, if there is a problem, and we'll see on the oncoming weeks if it is a problem, is the songbook any good? Are these songs good? Because if the songs are bad, then that's a problem. And I think if I went somewhere and I didn't know this thing was a musical and I forgot to wipe my ass that day
Mhm.
and the songs were great, I would be like, you know what? Didn't know that this was going to happen, but I'm into it.
Right, right, right.
That's
Yeah.
the problem then. It's the songs then.
Well, so the same polling, the same studio polling, 75% of the audiences were aware the film was a musical, and only 16% were left disappointed by the fact that it was a musical.
Okay.
So, that's a small percentage of people who didn't know it was a musical and then were disappointed by the fact it was a musical. So that's a good sign. People seem to be liking this, but they're not liking it to the degree of the 2004 original.
No.
I think that's
Cinema
clear.
score B.
Wow. Okay,
Which
not a
might
B
as well
plus.
be an F. That's an F. I
Yeah.
mean, an F is actually an interesting movie. A B is really bad, because the original had an A minus.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
70% recommend, 3 stars for post track. I mean, let's just get into demos here. Packs of women saw this film. 32% under 25 attended with 2 to 4 friends. So this was a group activity.
Mhm.
28% were over the age of 25. 77% of the crowd was between 18 and 34, with 18 to 24-year-olds representing 40%.
Mhm.
So demographics, 52% Caucasian, 26% Latino Hispanic, 11% Black, and 8% Asian.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna have quite the well, I mean, we'll get into it on the weekend preview. The thing that this Mean Girls has going for it is just such a light box office release schedule for the next
Yeah.
4 weeks. Like, it's the big movie for a while. So it's
Mhm.
default what people are gonna have to go to. It doesn't seem as like we talked about in the weekend preview, Lindsay Lohan is not the star of this movie. There's not a big movie star or young, burgeoning big movie star at the level of
No.
Lohan in this. Tina Fey, um, in 2004, she's probably has her finger on the you know, uh, she's probably closer to knowing what young people sound like in 2004 than she does now. Finger on the pulse. That's what I was reaching for. She probably had her finger on the pulse of young people more then than she does now. I don't know if there's a new fetch, for instance, that's going to come out of Mean Girls 2024. I haven't heard anything about something akin to fetch in this movie.
Now, not to go back to our previous conversation, but I'm
Right.
going to. So
Okay.
there's no reason for me to say that sentence I just said. If you had Sydney Sweeney here as the mean girl part, the main
Oh,
mean girl part, because Sydney Sweeney is at that age right now in Hollywood where she could play anywhere from a high school freshman to a young woman who's lived on her own for like a 27, 28-year-old, right? Like
yes.
that is the swath of people she can play.
Yeah. She could
And
either
so
be in high school or she could be the love interest for Robert De Niro.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's where you wanna be right now.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot, for Hollywood. If she was the mean girl here, we're talking Buffa Boba. We're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
big, big time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you didn't have that.
Right.
You know, you had the young lady that I think she was from the Broadway, she actually did the Broadway show who played the
Yeah.
mean girl in this,
Yeah. Who
and
plays Regina George? Yeah.
yeah, and that's just not enough juice. That's
Hmm.
just not enough juice right
Hmm.
now.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. This opened bigger than the first one by about 3 or 4 million in the 3-day weekend,
Yeah.
33 million. So this is it's a really good opening weekend. The audience response doesn't seem like this is going to be any kind of phenomenon, but hey, you know, That's what we said after the opening weekend, Anyone But You. Didn't feel like that was gonna turn into what it's turned into, so
Yeah.
let's not
But
underestimate the power of women going to the movies this last year. After Barbie, after Taylor Swift, after Anyone But You, let's not underestimate what Mean Girls could do in the next month.
but Pat, the post tracking on Anyone But You was much higher.
Yeah,
People
very
liked
true.
that movie much better. We even looked at it and we were, like, surprised that people
Yeah.
liked it as much as they did.
Yeah, yeah. So, but you know what? Great job out of Paramount. You know, it's a troubled studio, could be sold for parts soon, but they did a good job promoting this movie. They did a good job getting awareness of this movie out there. They've been promoting it since last year. There was the big Black Friday Mean Girls promotion. They got Lohan to come back for that one, right? They got Lohan. The only one who didn't come back was Rachel McAdams.
I
Um,
believe so.
so they have been building the awareness for this opening weekend, since the summer, kind of. So I think there wasn't a big movie star at the center of this, but Paramount did a good job of making the Mean Girls brand feel like a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
Now, Pat, if
yes,
we would have sat down for The Beekeeper on what was that? Thursday.
last Thursday, yeah.
Thursday last Thursday afternoon, and it was a musical,
Mm,
then I would have been shocked. Then I could
okay,
see 75-25.
okay.
I still think 25 is way too high. I still think these people need cognitive tests to just see what's wrong with their brains that they couldn't figure out this is a musical.
Really? You thought
Yes.
that so
Yes.
you think all the clues were there?
They gave us all the clues.
Okay. Okay.
If you I listen, if you are a listener and you
Right.
went and saw this movie without knowing that it was a musical, I mean, that would be ridiculous because you're listening
Not a
to us,
listener of
so
this
you
show,
know.
yeah. You know.
If you have a friend that you talk to, ask your friends who went and saw this, Mean Girls, okay? Spread the web out. Ask the friends and say, "Did you know this was a musical before you went?" And if they say no, ask them so many questions and email us.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
really delve into how they get up in the morning and
Right,
function as a
right,
human being, okay?
right,
We need
right.
to know this. We need to know who these 25% of people who are polled. Now, they may have just bumped into the people who are polling. Like, they may have been like, is there a bathroom here? They might have had like their underwear over their head or something, and that's why they were asked because they were just wandering around the theater, not knowing where to go, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
probably why the pollster stopped them and was like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?"
Right,
And
right.
they're like, "Are you my dad? Are you my mommy?" And this is like a 40-year-old man.
Yeah, can you
Uh,
clean
s-
me?
can you clean me? Yeah, that might have skewed the polling because they were just random people just not knowing where they were.
Right, right. It is very possible. It is very possible. Yeah, email us, theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. If you know anyone who saw Mean Girls this weekend and did not know it would be a musical when they went, we want a full psychological study of them, IQ test, whatever information you could pass along to us, let us know.